More AEW wrestlers have been contacted by WWE, and will Saraya wrestle in All Elite Wrestling? But first, we have an update on the health of two AEW wrestlers. Last week on AEW Rampage Grand Slam, Sting and Darby Allin would battle Buddy Matthews and Brody King of the House of Black in a no disqualification tag match with Julia Hart there to assist the house. During the match, Sting would find himself with his hands tied behind his back, sat on a steel chair inside the ring with no Darby Allin in sight. This would lead to an appearance from Japanese legend the Great Muta, who came to the ring spraying Buddy with his green mist, which sent him back into Julia Hart, who was stood on the ring apron. Hart would then fall backwards, missing the table that was waiting for her on the floor, instead hitting her head on the concrete in what looked like a nasty bump. The fall would then lead to fans expressing their concerns for the 20-year-old online, with there being worries about potential concussion from the fan base. Well, we now have an update from both Brody King and Julia Hart, with Brody first ensuring fans that Julia's hat is indeed safe. And he would tweet, "I want everyone to know that Julia Hart's hat made it out safely. Thank you for your concerns." Julia would then confirm that not only is her hat okay, but she is too, with her responding, "Me and my hat are okay." It's not clear if there was a concussion or any other head trauma, although we do now have the thumbs up from Hart herself. Another wrestler who would pick up a knock during the match was Darby Allin, with both him and Brody King falling off the entranceway through a table on the floor. This would cause Darby to hit his head on some of the objects that were laying on the table, splitting his head open in the process. Darby would take to Twitter to post a picture of the wound with staples holding it together, and he simply wrote, "Worth it." Again, there is no news on any further damage caused, but we do know that Darby now has 5 staples in his head to close the wound. And next, Sting is set for his return to Japan. Speaking of the House of Black versus Darby Allin and Sting match, as mentioned, the conclusion would see an appearance from Japanese legend Great Muta, who came to the aid of his old rival, helping him score the victory. Well, Muta and Sting will now link up once again, with Pro Wrestling Noah announcing the icon for the Pearl of the Orient's final match. And Noah would post the following statement yesterday morning, with it reading, "We are pleased to announce the participation of AEW superstar and international pro wrestling legend Sting at the Great Muta Final Bye-Bye event, which will be held on Sunday, January 22nd, 2023 in Yokohama." It was the Great Muta who came to the unexpected rescue of Sting on AEW Rampage Grand Slam this week. This incident triggered him to partner Sting at the Yokohama Arena event. Sting and Muta have been rivals going as far back as 1989, often meeting via the working relationship between New Japan Pro Wrestling and World Championship Wrestling. As of this recording, it's unclear who the two men's opponents will be for the Pro Wrestling Noah event, but there isn't many more fitting partners for Muta on his way out. Muta, also known by his real name of Keiji Muto, is currently in the middle of his final run, with the 38-year veteran set to retire at the age of 59. Throughout his career, Muta has wrestled as himself, as well as under the Great Muta persona, which is seen as his much more dangerous alter ego. Inspired by the legendary Great Kabuki, Keiji's villainous persona quickly became somebody fans loved to watch after he introduced it as his stateside gimmick in NWA, before taking it back to Japan as part of the New Japan Explosion Tour of 1990. He will go down as one of the most successful wrestlers in Japanese wrestling history, having won all 3 of the Big 3 belts in his home nation, which includes the IWGP Heavyweight in New Japan, the Triple Crown Heavyweight in All Japan, and the GHC Heavyweight in Noah, this being just the surface of his accomplishments. And next, Cody Rhodes talks a return from injury. Earlier this year, Cody Rhodes would become the first major name to leave AEW in favor of a move to WWE, returning at WrestleMania as the mystery opponent for Seth Rollins. Shortly after declaring his intentions to bring the WWE Championship home to the Rhodes family, he would completely tear his pec from the bone, leading to him being out of action since Hell in a Cell. An injury of this magnitude can take several months to recover from, with WWE stating at the time that Cody would be out for 9 months, pointing at a comeback in February-March 2023. Speaking with TMZ Sports this week, Rhodes would reveal that he is getting closer to making a WWE return, although his doctors won't give him a timeline for when he could return because they know he will try and return quicker than they would recommend. And Cody would say, "No complaints, they've treated me like the house that built me," which they were. "And honestly, it was amazing. We were back and everything was rolling so fast, and then I tore my pec. heck. It was the best 3 months of my life. Hopefully get back to that soon. I was told I have the strength of an 11-year-old, but I was pretty strong at 11. Hopefully soon. You know, they haven't really given me a deadline because they know I'm stupid, and I tried to test it. I got in my mind where I want to be, and I think a lot of fans have in their mind where I'd like to be, and that's hopefully where it's at. I do actually agree with what's going on because I think what happens next, hopefully, and what we do, and this is all speculative up in the air, hopefully it's a run that people remember, and I got to be healthy for it. Whilst the official WWE line is a return after January 2023, many fans anticipate a comeback in the Royal Rumble match, with the company perhaps slightly extending the expected injury time to keep it as more of a surprise. Cody has hinted at a return in the Rumble himself, although for now, it's just a wait and see situation. And next, a New Japan star has turned on the Bullet Club. Earlier today, New Japan Pro Wrestling would hold their final show of the Burning Spirit Tour, where Bullet Club's Jay White and Taiji Ishimori would take on Kushida and former Bullet Club member Tama Tonga. After the match, which BC won, White and Ishimori would encourage Hikuleo to attack his brother Tonga, with the two now divided by the latter's allegiance to the faction. Hikuleo would instead choose to grab White by the throat, opting to turn on the Bullet Club, with the two brothers embracing in a hug after the fact. Tonga would take to Twitter to respond to the clip of the moment, sending a message to his younger brother with him writing, "They will never understand what we've been through, thick and thin. I've got your back, you got mine, forever, brothers." Hikuleo will now find himself aligned with former Bullet Club tag team Gorillas of Destiny, which is made up of his brother Tama Tonga and his cousin Tanga Loa. Hikuleo had joined Bullet Club in 2017 alongside his family members and has competed in New Japan, Impact and AEW during that time. As for the rivalry as a whole, Jay White is set to defend his IWGP World Heavyweight title against Tonga at the New Japan Declaration of Power event on October 10th, which will go down in Tokyo, Japan. And next, more AEW wrestlers have been contacted by WWE. Since the appointment of Triple H as head of creative in WWE, many released wrestlers, not favoured by the Vince McMahon regime, have returned to the company. With Triple H's intentions of expanding the roster, they have also reached out to several talents currently under contract with AEW in order to gauge an interest in a potential return. This would lead to some of those talents informing management of the contract tampering, with AEW's legal team later contacting WWE to warn them off. In the most recent edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it was revealed that WWE had reached out to recently released AEW star Malachi Black, with Fightful adding to the story stating that Black had indicated to contacts within WWE that he wished that he was still there. In addition to this, Fightful would add that Malachi isn't the only AEW star to have been contacted, with them taking to Fightful Select to report. A source within WWE also stated they heard that feelers were sent out to Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood of FTR. The two have a while left on their AEW contracts and spent years in the WWE system working with Triple H. WWE had made numerous efforts to re-sign FTR under the Vince McMahon regime, but they chose to join AEW. Among others, Swerve Strickland is a name widely known within AEW that was also contacted by WWE. The report would conclude by saying that whilst they don't have a name, an AEW source told them WWE had reached out in August to an AEW wrestler who had been with the company since the start, and that name would be a surprise to many. Who this individual is remains to be seen, with guesses likely abound, but we do know that FTR and Swerve Strickland are on Triple H's shopping list going forward. And next up, will Saraya wrestle in All Elite Wrestling? Last week at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, Saraya would make her AEW debut as she saved Toni Storm and Athena from a post-match beatdown from Britt Baker, Serena Deeb and Jamie Hayter, seemingly setting up a feud with Baker in the process. Since then, speculation has emerged based on a story from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with many using this to say that the former Paige still isn't cleared to compete after her retirement in 2018. Now, before we get into what Saraya herself has said regarding the matter, let's take a look at the report that people are referencing when saying that she isn't cleared and look at what was actually reported. In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer would reveal that as of very recently, she wasn't cleared to compete, and that this could be the reason she wasn't involved in anything physical upon her debut, this part being mere speculation on his part, and he would write, There is no answer to the question as to what role she will play, if she will wrestle regularly, sparingly, or not at all. She got an enormous surprise pop, but these types of things always get that reaction. If she is going to wrestle and can go at her prior level, she will be a good addition. But it was notable in her run-in she didn't touch anyone, and with WWE, not only was she not allowed to wrestle, but nobody was allowed to touch her. We were told that she had not been cleared as of very recently, which would explain not touching anyone, but would like to be cleared. She is refereeing for her family's WAW promotion in a few weeks. It's also a big risk. It's important to remember that as of very recently, she wasn't cleared. This isn't to say that she hasn't been cleared since then. This notion was seemingly confirmed by Saraya herself on Twitter, who would respond to the dirt sheet reports that saying that she hasn't been cleared, simply writing, "Ignore the dirt sheet clickbait. See you Wednesday. #AEW Dynamite." As we often see, wrestling reports get regurgitated that many times the story changes, as has been the case in this scenario, with Dave Meltzer never actually saying that she hasn't been cleared as of this day. What we do know is that Saraya is scheduled to appear on AEW Dynamite this Wednesday night, with AEW announcing via Twitter that we will hear from her live this week. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 masked AEW wrestlers unmasked.